News, employees received 2 emails reminding them to preserve records on their phones before they were, quote, restored to factory settings. It's a part of a planned reset. Now, a third email sent in February of last year specifically instructed them to preserve all communications from January 6th. But here's the thing, Savannah, it's just not clear if that was sent after the deletion had already happened. The Secret Service says, bottom line, nothing malicious occurred here. Meanwhile, tomorrow, the January 6th committee will be holding a primetime hearing describing all 187 minutes of the attack on the Capitol, what former President Trump did and what he didn't do. And we are going to hear from 2 former White House officials, Matt Pottinger and Sarah Matthews. They both resigned that day, Savannah, because they were so upset over what hadn't occurred within the West Wing. And we know that top officials were pressuring the former president to come out and to make a statement much sooner than he did, and a more robust statement, frankly, calling off the rioters. I can tell you, Savannah, I was at the White House that day. Sarah Matthews had tears in her eyes because she was so upset about what was happening. So this is going to be a dramatic and emotional hearing. Now, one more note here, that Chairman Benny Thompson recently tested positive for COVID. He is still going to chair this hearing. He's going to do it remotely. Savannah.
Kristen Welker, thank you. And for more on that January 6th committee hearing tomorrow night that Kristen mentioned, let's bring in Axios reporter Elena Treen. Elena, after tomorrow's hearing, do you expect even more? How does this ultimately sort of come to an end here? And how does that 187 minutes that they're going to focus on tomorrow fit their greater goal here?
Well, really, the 187 minutes is to show Trump's inaction and how he really was the sole person that had the power to call off the mob and the rioters on January 6th, and he didn't intervene until much later. It's unclear whether there'll be another hearing. The committee tells me that they still are in the gathering process of their investigation. Even though they're starting to ramp it down and ramp down these hearings, they still have a lot of information that is coming in. But they do need to get out their final report, and they want to do that soon. They want to do that before the November midterm elections to see if that has an impact. And also, I think, the big question now is really, what does the Department of Justice do? And they've had all these hearings, and a lot of committee members have said that a huge goal of theirs was to sway public opinion. But the more tangible goal is really, will there be criminal charges brought against people who were tied to January 6th and potentially even the former president? And that's unclear. I think after tomorrow's hearing, we're going to have a lot of stories and reporting, and people turn their attention to what does the DOJ do. And Merrick Garland, the Attorney General, is going to have a really tough decision to make. And he's been keeping it very close to the vest so far. So I think we'll have to hear a lot more from them in the coming weeks and months.
And Elena, quickly before I let you go, I mean, the committee promised that these findings would be explosive. Representative Raskin's comment was even that they will blow the roof off the House. In your opinion, have they done that here?
I think they've done an incredible job. I think they've shown some incredible evidence and have had really forthcoming testimony from a lot of people that I don't think many in Trump world had expected would testify. I do think that a series of testimony was very damning. Cassidy Hutchinson, of course, hearing from Pat Cipollone, the former White House counsel, hearing from people who were in the Capitol, one of the rioters themselves. I think the committee has done a very good and detailed job of laying out exactly what happened and showing just how bad it was and how bad it was as well within the West Wing. I think the difficulty here, though, and the challenge that they had from the beginning was whose public opinion are you changing? Will Republicans, depart from their loyalty to Donald Trump? And really, so far, we haven't seen that happen. Republicans are holding firm in their support of the former president. And though I think some have maybe changed their minds, of course, you have 2 Republicans on the committee, Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger. Overall, I'm not sure that the hearings have had much sway with the former president's base. But I think that'll all really depend as we head into election season.
Elena Treen, thanks for joining us tonight. And staying in Washington, all eyes are now on the Senate after the House passed a bill enshrining legal rights for same-sex marriage. After the overturning of Roe v. Wade by the Supreme Court, Democrats are eager to ensure the decision that granted the right to gay marriage doesn't follow suit. Ali Vitale reports from the Capitol.
With court-given rights now in jeopardy, Democrats pushing to enshrine them into law.
We ought to reaffirm it before the court overthrows it.
Despite 7 years of precedent on same-sex marriage, new fears after the overturning of Roe that the Supreme Court could revisit its 2015 marriage decision, leading to momentum to ensure they can't.
Our country's history is that we expand rights, we don't go backwards.
Yeas are 267.
47 Republicans joined House Democrats Tuesday to enshrine the right into law. Now the Senate hoping to take up the cause.
I want to bring this bill to the floor, and we're working to get the necessary Senate Republican support to ensure it would pass.
A handful of Republicans signaling support.
This is an issue that many Americans, regardless of their political affiliation, feel has been resolved. So I think its time has come.
Public sentiment backs that up, broadly and among Republicans. But that support is far from widespread in Congress.
It's a pure messaging bill. I mean, it's obviously settled law right now.
Other Republicans echoing Justice Clarence Thomas, who wrote that decisions on gay marriage and right to contraception should be revisited.
Look, Obergefell